Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is Linda Joy Sullivan, a candidate for the mayor of the city of Newport. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Well, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate this opportunity, and it's nice to meet you.
Right. Yeah. Even though, we have walked in similar shoes, at least one, we've both served in the Vermont House. You decided to stick it out for 6, and I did it for 4. And I walked away a whole lot more educated, but shaking my head at the same time. So,
well, we all had different experiences because we represented different districts, and it was different times, and everybody from the state of Vermont comes in with different constituency base, and different legislators come in, but everybody puts forth a great effort because they all come forward wanting to give back to the state.
Right. So what prompted you to run for the mayor of the, it's not only the largest city in the Northeast Kingdom, but technically it's the only city in the Northeast Kingdom.
Well, actually, we moved to Newport. I had decided, once we moved out of the Bennington-Rutland district, and I was no longer going to stay where we were. We looked up in Newport. We moved there about a year ago, and I knew that I was not going to be running for the legislature anymore. I wanted to stay involved in politics, and I wanted to give back to the community because that's what I do all of my life. I've always done that. And then when there was an opening for the mayor, and I discussed it with several people, I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for me to give back to the city and for the community we just moved into. Actually, there was nobody running at the time, so the opposition was okay. Of course, I knew that there would be candidates coming out, but I thought, let me put in my petition and go for it after discussing the opportunity with some of the people in the city. And the more I discussed it, the more I thought, at this time in my political career and with my professional and educational background and my desire to really get involved in the community and assist in the best way I could, this was the opportunity that I thought I could give back the most.
Well, it sounds like your dog approves.
Well, one of my dogs, right?
Yeah, I just heard a vote, a bark of approval. So hopefully it's a registered voter, and you get your first vote.
Two of us are.
You're coming on as mayor after I've written, 2, 3 books, depends on how you look at it, about the history of Newport. And you're coming into a very challenging yet exciting period of its history. The last 10 or 15 years has probably been some of the most challenging years. Particularly the last 5 years has been really challenging. It's been a period of I'd say change, but then also turmoil. And I think some people, they would look at it and say, what are you doing? You come with so much credentials. You come with you're very, obviously on paper, you're very well qualified. Actually, probably one of the most qualified people I've seen so far. Why did you decide to take over this? Because you've read about the turmoil.
So I think that it's not so much turmoil. I think that it's just a change, a transition. And that's what happens in cities. That's what happens everywhere in the United States and all of the countries across the world. So right now we're going through a transition. We just came out of COVID. We came out, there's litigation going on across life. I mean, that's what happens. So for me, with my background, I am a turnaround specialist. That's what I do for a living. I'm a receiver. I go in and I fix things, but it's not going to be just me. I would, as the mayor, just become a member of the council. I would be part of a team. So it's not me coming in and saying, okay, I'm taking over as a receiver. That's just not how it works. I would be coming in and hopefully bringing some fresh questions, some fresh ideas, and working with my team members, working with my fellow council persons, and hopefully sitting down, asking appropriate questions, discussing with them, asking the community and the business people and asking the residents and figuring it out. I thrive on asking questions. I thrive on looking at financials and history. I thrive on trying to figure out answers and sensibly looking at legal documents and finding out what we can and can't do and talking to the people. I have an open door policy. I like that. But I also thrive on talking to the fellow members and being respectful. I really do believe that we can talk this through, look at what we can do, and I think it's very important that we speak to the people. I don't think we're broken. I've heard this. Oh my goodness, we're broken. I don't think the city is broken. Every city is going to have changes, some ups and downs. Because if you're not, we're going to be living in this fantasy Wally world. It's just not going to be like that. Okay. The bottom line is we're going to have to deal with every single situation as it comes along. And right now, there's some stagnant issues, and we need to look at them and we need to figure it out.
Right. And yeah, because I happen to agree with you because I actually look at Newport as a great turning point. I look at the future. It's probably one of the most exciting period of time in many years. You have a new mayor, no matter who it is coming on. Then you're also going to have a new city manager. But this is a weird thing to say is I think in the long run, and not everybody will agree with me, but the EB5 scandal did have one very positive thing happen is it brought a lot of people, including non-elected people, out and said, okay, if we're going to make this Newport thing happen, as make it alive again, we need to do it ourselves. And, I look at Wednesdays on the waterfront, but then you got the paths over on the bluffs. You have a lot of positive going on, and a lot of it's being done by people on the street. And so I think there's a lot of people interested in improving things. And I think, and I also happen to think you have a really good city council who they've been able, contrary to what some people might say, is I think they are very motivated. I think they are not a political body. They are both Democrats and Republicans who don't see themselves as Democrats and Republicans. I think you're going to actually be working with a really good crew.
Well, if I am elected, I agree with you. I think that it should not be political. We are dealing with a city that should be unified and it should not be political. We should be looking at this as how do we generate appropriate revenues? How do we make it vibrant? How do we keep Newport as a smart city? Because Newport is a smart city. We should look at the values, the soft values that we can get from the people, from the business people who have been successful, whether or not they've retired or are still there. How do they know who should be coming in? We should share those interviews or questions or success stories with the council persons. And I'm sure they've already been involved with these discussions. We need to speak to the community, and the community needs to be respectful and share those stories back with us. And the council persons are respectful and they need to speak with the people as well. I would love to see what revenue streams could be shared with the council persons and with the community. I think an open door policy is what we need. And then we need to sensibly sit down and do some number crunching. And then I think we need to look at historically what financials have worked and what haven't. We need to look at some target break evens. We need to really sit down and say, this is going to work and this just isn't. We have some resources. Look at the lake. What can we generate? What kind of tourism can we have that's just not going to be for 30 days? How do we generate more jobs? How do we get more than 1,900 spots? How do we spread it out to more retail that's a bit more long lasting, more vibrant? How do we make happier people in Newport?
Um, I think the one thing you really bring with you is having served in legislature, because when you go to legislature, a lot of people when they run the first time, they might make promises that they don't even realize they can't keep,
You got it.
um, because you don't understand how the system works. It's like you get down here and you think, oh, wait, I can't do that. Or something, or one of your great ideas might actually be illegal. There's some reason that you can't do it. So I think you're going to be, if elected, I think you already understand the working process. And it might frustrate some people because a lot of people, it's like, they keep talking about the hole in the ground. Well, when is that going to be done? And that no matter how much people have explained that's not in our hands right now, they keep going back to it. And in time, I guess it's going to be the city forest for a little bit.
So I have to agree with you. I think that my time in the legislature is so valuable. Plus, I was on a money committee for several years. So you do understand the process. We also, as you know, you debate on the floor. You understand the respect of allowing everyone to speak. You understand the consistency of the timing of when people can speak. You actually know how to bring amendments. So you know your place and you know how to make things happen. You know how to work with both bodies. You know how, well, if you can't get it done on the House side, you go over and you make some friends on the Senate side and you make it happen. And if it's not going to work over there, you go over to the administration and you make things work. Okay.
Right.
So the key is you need to work with everybody.
Right.
But the
Absolutely.
key, and you need to understand the law. And I value that education that I have. And I value that I was able to work with Ledge Council. And when I would bring amendments and I would bring bills, they would always say to me, this is really great. We barely have to even write your bills. Okay. We love when you bring your bills because we give you a one-line suggestion and most likely we don't even change your bill. So that's good for me. But I know the process. And it's always wonderful when you have an administration, regardless of who the governor is, when you can speak with them. And they had an open door policy. And I never acted as a party person across when I was in the legislature. I spoke with everybody. So if I had to speak with somebody in the administration because I had a question, they opened the door for me. If I had to speak to someone on the Senate side, they opened the door for me. I spoke to everybody if I needed an answer. And when somebody from Newport, a representative, came over and wanted to talk about a bill, I listened.
Right.
because it was important to ask questions. If you ask questions, you will get answers. And that's what I would do with the people. And that's what I would do with the council persons. And I would hope that they would ask me questions,
Right.
because
Good.
that's how you develop further questions and that's how you come up
Right.
with better answers. But the process of being in the legislature, opening yourself up to understanding all of Vermont, is what's going to make what I believe somebody a good mayor. Understanding how to be a political ambassador for the city of Newport is very important. I don't think you really want at this point in time somebody coming in there with political training wheels. I really think you need
No, no.
somebody who has experience.
I so agree. Besides your time in the legislature, what else have you done that might prepare you for this position?
Well, I've been on many boards. I am right now a commissioner on the Vermont State Housing Authority. The governor did appoint me to that, and I'm very grateful that he did appoint me to that. I have also on one of the professional responsibility diversity appointments, where if some of the lawyers are found to need have issues and they are possibly needing further CPE or other responsibility issues to keep their licenses. I'm part of that process. I was in Florida appointed as the Unlicensed Practice of Law Board. I've done anti-human trafficking issues. In fact, I was a champion of the first one of the laws passed in my first year as a legislator. And so I have been on the board of, Habitat for Humanity. I've been on the board of Northshire Grows. I've just as a child, I was a candy striper. I mean, I've always given back. I was a Girl Scout. Um, I just all of my life, we've just always given back to the community. But I'm a CPA and I do forensic work. I'm the court-appointed receiver right now for the coffee cup dissolution matters. And what I am proud of right now is that we have actually cut the first distribution, partial distribution to the creditors. So they actually got paid. The employees actually got their PTO, their paid time off, paid. The coffee cup creditors who were waiting for so long finally got their first distribution. So the creditors that I believed were not entitled to get paid, the judge agreed with us and threw their claims out. So and what I say, the good guys got paid. So that's a good thing. I've been a receiver before. I understand receiverships. I understand liquidations. So I do understand what's going on, which is what you said, the whole, that process. And I feel for Newport on that because it's right in your face. And that's
Right.
the problem. It's like you walk down Main Street and it's right in your face. So regardless of what somebody says, you just see it. So when something's right in your face, you can talk about it all you want and it's just going to be there. So it's like that nightmare that just doesn't go away.
Having served in legislature and your other positions, I it doesn't sound to me like you're going to let words or actions hurt your feelings. As in with politics, sometimes unfortunately it can be tough, and you need a thick skin because sometimes people don't act the exact way you would like them to. But it sounds to me like you'll be able to stand up well.
So I don't believe that I will be insulted at all. I think that people are going to say whatever they want. Some people will say nice things, and I will say thank you very much. Some people will say things that may not be so nice, and I will say thank you very much. I will listen. I will take all criticisms and I will digest them. And I am sure there may be an element of truth in everything, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
And I will digest them, but I will not be insulted.
No, no, you've used, because most of it, sometimes it is personal, but a lot of times, even when things gets a little wild, I don't think it's really meant to be personal. It's just sometimes people don't know exactly how to behave in a meeting. And on another side, I don't think you'll be easily led either by people.
I'm not an activist. I'm going to tell you that right off. Okay. I am not an activist. I take my role responsibly. I am definitely respectful. I believe in a respectful process. I do believe that it is our, meaning if I am elected, the council person's responsibility to be um, consistent in the process. I believe it is our responsibility to give everybody their appropriate voice, but we need to set a consistent time according to the rules. And we need to make sure that we are consistent. So we need to take control of that process, and we need to make sure that everybody has their time to speak. So you do not eliminate their time. That's inappropriate. But we need to be respectful and we need to let them speak. And they need to be respectful and they need to understand that they will have that time to speak.
Right.
And if we are not respectful in allowing them to speak, then we are accountable. So there are rules and there is a process. And we need to make sure from the onset that they understand the process and that they do have that time. And I think that's where we need to come across.
Now, back to legislature. Do you think your time in the legislature will also prove an asset for you if you are elected, since you know the players?
Oh, absolutely. To this day, I still receive communications. In fact, just yesterday, legislators have sent me the alert saying, here's, communications for your fellow constituents on the 911s or the 511s on the roads. Please pass this along to them. I have communications if I need to reach out. For example, when there was I saw some Facebook communications on the sludge. So I reached out to the administration asking if there were any leaks and what was going on. And the administration immediately wrote back and explained what was going on with the fix and what was going on with the contract. So within, it was July 4th and they wrote back to me that night. So yes, the communications are still there. The administration has always had an open door for legislators. I think that it's not just me, but I think that knowing the processes and knowing how to communicate. When I was in the legislature, when COVID existed, I had a constituent who really could not get the COVID shot because she was just not capable of physically getting there. And I contacted the administration and they immediately made arrangements to bring the shot to her. And it's that type of respectful communication and picking up the phone because you were there to answer their questions as well. And sometimes they reach out to you because they know you have a legal mind and you have a financial mind, and they ask you questions and you give them logical, sensible answers. So if you are not shutting them off, they are definitely open to you because you're respectful to them. So they consider you a viable business companion and you should be the same. So yes, I think that my Relationships will continue on. And I think that I can definitely use that as an asset to speak with the council persons and be a good ambassador for them. I think that I would be an excellent person if the council people so choose for me to be that ambassador, to be the person who testifies up at the legislature. They may choose that that's not appropriate. They may choose that it is. We will vote on that. But I do believe that I would be the appropriate person to go up there because of my relationships and my other relationships with the housing and human trafficking and other social aspects within the state of Vermont.
Okay, we only have about 5 more minutes left, and I'm going to just throw it out there, let you tell the viewers and listeners anything you would like to tell them.
Okay, well, first, I want everyone to be safe during this particular time with the weather and the state of emergency. I want anybody who needs to reach out or is not safe or scared to please reach out to a neighbor. If they need to reach out to me and they need me to reach out to a neighbor, please reach out to me, or to just knock on somebody's door if you can. If you're stuck in the house, please try to reach out to somebody so that we can get you some help. I don't want you to be by yourself. I want anybody who wants to talk to me about my campaign. It's Linda Joy at lindajoy4newport.com. Please reach out to me. I am open to speaking to everybody in the city. I am here. I am totally going to be available. I have signs. I am sitting down having coffee below my office at the marketplace. I just sit there and I love people to come and speak with me. I want people to ask me questions. I want people to talk to me about whatever's on their minds. And I can't stress enough that speaking to me is the way to get to know me. But right now, my main concern is that you stay off the roads. If you need something, I don't want you to be isolated in your home. I know some parts are not as dangerous as other parts in the state of Vermont, but if you need something, please reach out. Somebody can get you help if you need help.
Yeah, these are certainly quite some interesting times. I particularly noticed the Barry Montpelier area just because, having served in legislature, it's interesting to see that road that we all traveled on being underwater. I think your voters are chanting for you.
It's that grooming time.
Okay, only about a minute left. What more would you like to say?
So first, I would really like to thank you for this time. I can't express how knowledgeable you are and how wonderful it is to speak to you. And I know that your time is valuable. And I would like everybody to seriously go to my website, lindajoy4newport.com. And I would like everybody, once again, to cast your vote for me. And I want to thank the other candidates for stepping up, because everybody has qualifications. And when somebody steps up to do community service, yes, that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.